Welcome to Life is for Living channel. I'm Kylee Buckley. I'm here with David Riddell from Living Wisdom. David, today I'd like to speak into bipolar in moderation, the troubled soul of the manic depressive.
Yeah, good evening, Kylie. I'm happy to talk about that. Over the last 30 years, I've been involved in counseling, coaching, and healing many bipolar cases. I just want to clarify the title. It's not bipolar in moderation, it's bipolar as a moderation. And by that I mean losing the moderate approach to life and swinging from manic to depression. So bipolar means two extremes. One extreme is being very high, super optimistic, over functioning, and of course the depression means emotional exhaustion and that drop into the blahs, into the depression, and often into sadness or withdrawal. So we can also begin with a distinction. I consider that there are two types of bipolar. I've noticed that some are virtually born with it. It may show up as ADHD in a child. They're just crazy busy, crazy moving, crazy fast, and then they'll slump, absolutely slump. And they've been like that since childhood. That's what I call a type 1 bipolar. The type that I want to talk about today is more of a volitional bipolar that children who are not well moderated get into, or children who are driven by something unseen get into. And that really, I consider that to be a volitional bipolar because it's to do with cranky thinking. And if I can heal their thinking and heal their habits, then we can actually pull them right out of it. But it means bringing them back into moderation, and it's less about medication and more about learning how to monitor your self-talk. So I just want to begin with that distinction. It may well be that lithium salts are missing in a bipolar's system, and they will be on a lithium dose for the rest of their life. But if it's type 2, we can heal it. You don't need to be type 2 bipolar, but you do need to talk yourself up when you're down, and you need to learn the skill of talking yourself down when you're too high. And that means that, like King David in the Psalms said, "Why art thou cast down, O my soul? You need to hope in God, for I shall again praise him." So he's changing his perspective, and he's changing his focus, and he's challenging his reality, and he's saying, what are you doing down there? You've no business being down there. You need to change your focus, because whatever gets our attention, Kylie, is going to get us. And so King David in the Psalms challenged himself, and the interesting thing is, who was he speaking to? When he spoke, "Why art thou cast down?" Well, the right answer is he was speaking to his soul. But people think they are their soul. But if you are your soul, who was doing the speaking? You can say it's David talking to himself, but he stipulated that David the spirit, the essential I, was addressing David the mind. And that's why the first step to healing bipolar is to help them realize that they are a spirit and they have a mind, and they need to distinguish the two so that they can take one step back from their mind and begin to address it. What are you thinking about? What's your self-talk? What are you telling yourself? Is it the truth? Are you going to keep dwelling on that failure, that despair, that hopelessness, or are you going to come back at it with truth coaches and dig yourself out? And that's the spirit addressing the soul. And this is an essential distinction to healing bipolar. One of the first symptoms that somebody's becoming manic and going into an attack is that they lose self awareness. They lose the ability to monitor themselves. They have become their soul, and they are wrestling in their soul, and they're failing. And one of the little illustrations I often use to bring this home to people is that it's very like somebody deciding to make their bed without getting out of it. Try making up your bed while you're still lying in it. You're in for a hell of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you're serious about making that bed up, you got to put some distance between yourself and that rumpled mess of a mattress you've got there. You got to actually get out of the bed, turn around, face it, and address it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can heal your mind if I can show you how to take a step back, face it, and address it. Now, if you need help with that, read the William Backus book, Telling Yourself the Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Any of Joyce Meyer's work deals with this need to create a small distance between you and your mind and then begin to speak back to it. We are transformed by the renewing of our mind, but I challenge anybody to complete the renewing of the mind as long as they're locked up inside their mind.
Mm-hmm.
No, I am a spirit. I will monitor my thinking, and I will decide what I'm thinking about, and I will change my focus until I get good at that. And when I get good at that, I can leave mental illness behind, providing that mental illness is volitional and not purely hormonal/biochemical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hope we're all keeping up with this, because this distinction is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You can be healed of type 2 bipolar in much the same way as you can heal type 2 diabetes with a radical change to your lifestyle. You'll never heal type 1 diabetes with a change to your lifestyle. That's biochemical. You won't heal type 1 bipolar with a change to your lifestyle. You'll need those lithium salts to help you. Now, having said that, when you're in a manic phase, I have to help you talk yourself down. You don't have all the money in the world. You can't spend as much as you need to. You're not the richest man in the world. You're not. You don't have a credit card just to blow it out every month. There's coming a time when the birds are coming home to rest, and you're going to hate that, because then your excesses are all going to come back to haunt you, and then you're going to fall into a pit of despair, a slough of despond. How are you ever going to climb out of this debt you've built for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How are you ever going to earn back the trust of the people you've burned off while you're in your manic state? And your mind is telling you it's hopeless, you can't, you're done, you've served prison time, your husband or wife has had enough of you, they've had a guts full, they've moved out, they've run off with somebody else. And now you've gone from your high to your low, and that's where a lot of people take their own lives, in that major swing. So we need to look at the warning signs. For example, the warning signs is when you're becoming too ambitious, too focused to the point of fixation. You can't see anything else. You can't hear any warnings. You can't see any warnings. You've just your mind's away with the fairies as you contemplate the Pacific island or the tropical island you're going to buy, or the promotion you're going to get, or the money you're going to inherit. And reality's coming. The crunch is coming. So you got to kind of prepare for the coming of the crunch by becoming a little bit more pessimistic in a healthy way about how late you can stay up and how much you can do. When you're up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on your music or your song or your poetry, your literature, your ambitions, your plans to achieve world peace, then the alarm bells should be ringing. If you're not in bed tucked up by 11 o'clock and ready for sleep, you're probably in a manic phase, however mild. And here's the thing, you mess with circadian rhythms, and then they're going to come back and give you a whipping. I can promise you that. You don't mess with your circadian rhythm without paying a price. Everything runs on circadian rhythms. Your sexuality, your energy, your digestion, your sleep pattern. And if you abandon those circadian rhythms, you're going to get hurt. And that's why I always encourage my clients who are on rolling shifts, resign, quit, find another job. Please note, I didn't say shift work. I said rolling shifts. If you're in rolling shifts, you got to have more respect for your circadian rhythms, because that can actually bring about bipolar as well. And interestingly enough, you go 3 nights without any sleep. By the end of that third day, you're psychotic. You're already in psychosis. So I just want to share with you that you have to practice moderation. And if you practice moderation, you're not going to end up flying too high, flying too close to the sun, and then suffering the fate of Icarus. I just think that that's a very good analogy. Flying too close to the sun, your wax is going to melt and you're going to plunge to earth. And I don't like picking up the pieces after a bad bipolar session. It's hard to climb back up the mountain and get back to where you were. Not impossible, it's just hard. Don't keep making life hard for yourself. Now, I will say that I cannot release somebody from bipolar illness if they are depending on their manic phase to be amazing, to be profound, to be super intelligent, to impress all the critics, and to have a display or an exhibition that'll just wow everybody. You get into that phase, there's no coming out of it until you crash.
Interesting. So it's like that that saying that you have, just because I feel it doesn't mean it's true.
You've nailed it right there. Emotion-based reasoning and emotion-driven reasoning is the engine that drives people off the cliff. It's the momentum that winds up the flywheel until it flies apart or it crashes off its railings. That flywheel reminds me of bipolar so vividly. Once that thing is spinning, it takes a huge amount of energy to slow it down and to stop it.
Wow.
You ever tried to stop a flywheel?
No.
It's dangerous.
Oh, yeah, you get in the way, you get hurt. Okay, well, we're going to leave it there, but I'd like to do another show on the truth coaches, because there's a whole list of them here and they're fabulous. So I think that we need to do that. But I think we'll leave it there with this one, unless there's any other points that you want to add, David.
The truth coach, the insight your brain has been looking for your whole life.
Yeah.
It is the trace element of mental health.
So they're coming up. We'll do another show because we want to keep them at around 20 minutes or under that. So it will go over it if we go into them. So we'll do another show on that. So if you're watching this, it will be on tomorrow's show.
Watch for the next exciting episode.
Absolutely. Thanks, David, for all your wisdom. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bye, everybody.